in this digital age, if you're not online, you don't exist. It is at that level that...
The footprint, right?
It's almost like our history, our stories, our cultures may not exist because we are not represented online. Now, specifically in terms of generative AI.
Everyone, welcome to Case Drama. We are still in Singapore and we are with a man who introduced me to this wonderful place, the Little Red Dot. Hi, CheeK.
Hi, Karylle.
How are you doing?
I am fine. Or as people on the set call you at Kitchen Musical. Hello, Karylles.
Karylles, yeah. Karylles. So he mentioned Kitchen Musical. He is the creator and the director of the Kitchen Musical. TKM was the nickname.
Correct.
And you put me in the dodgy part of town. Kidding. It was the best part of town. I was right by the Singapore Art Museum with the rest of the cast. We had a van by a man called Uncle David.
Uncle David.
Yeah, from the Philippines, we had Thao, we had Aiki Kanoy, and Christian Bautista. Yes. So thank you for introducing me to this wonderful place. I've gone here more than a dozen times since then.
My pleasure. And we were just talking about how when you came up for the audition, for the pilot, of course, I just found out the real story behind it. It's interesting because there were a few candidates coming in, for those who didn't know. And
it's the menu.
It's the menu.
It's the pretty girl.
The pretty girl. And it's for the lead character called Maddie, right?
Right, Chef Maddie.
Yeah, and I think a few people have recommended a few really talented Filipino actors. And Karylle walked in. Oh, no, before that, a few came in, right? And we were just like, yeah. And we saw a few kind of reactions. We didn't know why. And then, of course, later on, I found out. And when Karylle walked in, it was kind of unanimous. Everyone just go, okay, got it, yeah, do it again. And then obviously I found out later on that one of them that we saw kind of ripple in the room, like a reaction, was that that person was actually being strongly recommended. But I mean, she was super talented, gorgeous, just not the character that we're looking for. And Maddie is Karylle and Karylle is Maddie.
Yeah, Chef Maddie. And Chef Maddie is actually a chef from Surendra.
You're right.
Remember?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Remember, yeah. So she's a chef from Surendra and you saw her on the phone having a conversation with her dad. Come in, Yael.
Yeah.
And shakas. So we have a couple of people here with us, and we're just
we're just pretending. Actually, there's no one there. We're just pretending, that's how we work.
That's how this podcast goes. And later they'll be joining us by giving in a few phone-in questions, right?
Right.
This goes here. So that's
6 inches.
Our origin story, or as the kids say, our meet cute.
Oh, that's meet cute. The other thing that I've learned recently is what works in a relationship with younger people is what you call trauma dump. So if you don't trauma dump, then you're not as exciting. You're not that multi-layered a character. Yeah, so in every kind of character I'm writing in right now, there's going to be one episode or one scene where that guy's just trauma dumping, like...
Right.
Yeah, I almost...
Because we're all about also cleaning up that dump. But there has to be a lot of layers to fix and clean, the complex.
Correct. Then it makes the character multi-layered, more interesting and more lovable, and explains sometimes why they are acting in a certain way.
Right.
But it really works. This year for me has been that kind of...
Exploring that.
Exploring. I'm a work in progress. I'm a flawed character.
We all are.
So
and that's what makes us beautiful.
Yeah.
For sure. So we just have to introduce you. Aside from being my director in the Kitchen Musical, you have greatly influenced my taste in music because I am a big MTV fan.
You remember MTV?
Yeah, music television.
Yes.
The idea that we have to spell it out.
I know.
No. But okay, in the Philippines, for example, there are generic names and brand names.
Correct.
But sometimes the brand names becomes the generic name because it's just too popular. Like
Xerox, right?
refrigerator, Frigidaire.
Oh,
Yeah, or Colgate for toothpaste.
Colgate. Oh, Xerox for copy.
Right.
Okay.
And MTV for music videos. Yeah.
Got it.
So it kind of replaces what it's supposed to be. And that's how big it was. When I was in school, I would watch Donita Rose. Hi, Donita Rose. Every day, Monday to Friday. And people would send her the biggest letters.
They do. That program is called Most Wanted.
I love it.
Yeah, where people still have to fax in the request.
Or they mailed it. I don't know how they mailed the big letters.
The mail ones are amazing because they are so nicely put together.
Did you?
It's crazy.
Just write them yourselves.
Now, of course, now it's public knowledge. When we first started, when we had no viewers, we did write them ourselves.
What did you write? What did you request for?
That 200 videos that we had at that time.
Only?
I think MTV in Asia started with a very limited, 200 is not the right number, but it's a very limited number of videos. But we also realized then that people don't watch it the way I watched it. So you watch it for an hour or two, and if there are certain videos on high rotation, there are certain videos on low rotation. So you don't catch all the videos all at once. And the chances of it, that top 5 videos being highly rotated is that then whenever you have time to tune in, you see your favorite video.
Yes.
And it's very different now, obviously. You just
go, search on YouTube.
Search on YouTube, log in anytime you want on a music service, you search for it, it's there. Back then, a long time ago, there's no search, there's no algorithm. You just have to go in and wait for your favorite video.
Yael and I, so my husband Yael and I realized that you had largely influenced our taste in music.
Thank you.
Because that's your taste. Yeah, no. You are the algorithm.
Correct. At that time, human beings were the algorithm, right? and I was overseeing the creative and content side, and we were also creating a lot of cool programs, and I was in charge of hiring the VJs and.
Oh my gosh, Casey Montero from the Philippines. Did you hire Marielle?
I think so. Definitely Sarah Maya.
Yes.
Belinda Paniello. Casey, and there are a few more. Like Marielle,
Yeah. My husband Yael is a big fan of Nadia.
Nadia Hutagalong, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Look at him. Get excited. From Jakarta.
Nadia, Sarah Sehan. Yeah, we did the whole bunch at that time. From Thailand. Oh, I forgot her name for a second. No, Sarah Maya from Philippines. Yeah. Oh, Sarah Sehan from Indonesia. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. So we did, and then of course my last hire was Denise Keller, and then I moved to MTV in Japan.
I see.
You're right. I think not just me, the whole MTV team really, I feel that this is like late 90s. Of course, they were in the region earlier, but they were based in Hong Kong. But they finally moved to Singapore in 95. 1995. That's not 1895, 1995.
Wow. Thanks for clarifying.
Just in case. And I was the second employee in Singapore hired.
Wow.
Yeah, overseeing the whole of Southeast Asia.
And you did tell us that when you were young, you just loved music so much and nobody could understand what that would mean for you in the future.
Correct. And I used to have all this encyclopedic knowledge of writers, like who sings it, what album, and I remember my mom saying things like, why are you remembering all this useless information? It's not going to help you. And then when I finally worked for MTV, and that's what I was writing every day for the VJs.
In real time?
I know. I mean, we all record it. There was one program that's live.
That's the one in real time, yeah.
So we will sometimes feed it to the VJ.
To the air, yeah.
Yeah, and all this useless information came up. So I remember calling my mom one day and say, "Hey, mom, guess what? I work in this job that's helping us pay the bills, supporting a family. You know what is the main job? Useless music information."
Love it.
Yeah, and she was like, "So you see, of course now it's kind of different, right? You just Google it.
Yeah. But yeah, one really interesting thing popped up during our last trip here. So Yael tells you that, did you want a phone-in question? You had a request. Did you request over the phone and it came out on the TV?
I was chatting on MTV Interactive.
Yes,
And he read my message.
No. Say it.
yeah.
You want to jump with a beer?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Careful with the mic.
I'm the guy with the beer. So, I was
This is here, I'll use one from the band Sponge Cola.
Just
I arrive home early from school and MTV Interactive is on. It's you chat through a server on
Correct.
IRC.
correct.
IRC.
Internet relay chat. Oh man, that was so dated.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. And then like
IRC.
yeah, then Nadia
Nadia.
read my comment.
Oh, your
Yeah.
crush.
Yes, exactly.
Shout out.
So hi Nadia.
You're seeing her anyway, right? Tomorrow.
So like I was just like actually she corrected me. I said something like along the lines of Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot like Billy Joel's Piano Man. But I got it like I kind of inverted which sounded like which.
Got it.
Yeah, so yeah, she was like, no, it sounds like the older one. You know what I mean? So she just corrected me. But that's pretty cool.
It's probably some producer telling.
But
no.
but also, I emailed you guys every day. This is like the notebook. I emailed mwanted@singnet.com.sg.
Yes.
Every day.
We had email by then.
I tried to be clever.
Well done. And email was way easier for us. It's just that it wasn't so visual.
Yeah.
So we have to create a lot of other graphics and stuff like that online.
Okay, thank you. Exit now.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for our first live phone-in beer question.
The technology is amazing.
Right.
It's just
We
beam
just
him in.
call and then-
You just beam him right in. Like,
that was
woohoo. Well done.
just AI, right?
AI.
Look
He's
at
actually an
that.
AI. Yeah, the beer you can change it later on.
Right.
Yeah, whichever
to-
brand that sponsors
to
you.
tea or whatever. So that's amazing because that's a connection from our past self. And that happens a lot in K-dramas where they show a flashback of how people are interconnected somehow. And I guess
That's true.
that is how we were connected. You broke barriers somehow, like we were in different countries. And somehow, through music, we are like one somehow.
I know. I'm not sure whether it's because you watch so much MTV or because of my love for music and it shows in whatever I do, right? It brings us all together. Just very quickly just about MTV and then we'll run off from there. Is that I was in MTV for 12 years but I used to spend 3 months in different cities, like 3 months in India, in Indonesia.
You spent a lot of time in the Philippines,
I
so much
did.
so that you know our beers.
I know your beers.
Go ahead and say them. What do you know? Impress them.
Of course, San Miguel, easy. And then it's a White Horse. It's a Red Horse in Quezon City. And
But there was a drink with a white horse commercial.
White Castle whiskey.
White Castle whiskey never had that, but Red Horse.
I'm so sorry, but
Red
hello to
horse.
my friend AB. That horse was their horse.
Oh, I'm
Can
sure.
you imagine that?
I'm
That
sure
we
I
know
had that.
who the horse
Oh my goodness.
owner is.
Wow. So that
Crazy.
horse. So we spent a lot of time in Philippines. We did a lot of events.
What were they called? Was it with the bus or the jeep?
We got the jeepney one.
Parabos.
Yes, Parabos. And then
Local.
we have this really cool program called Chito Chat. And
Chito Miranda of Parokya?
is the animation created by Parokya. Yeah,
Love it.
Yeah, so that was good. And then I moved.
Actually, I have our latest YouTube video on Karylle Mundo. Please check it out.
Well done.
There were a lot of pop-ups. And I know that that's influenced by Chito Chats because I
Correct.
loved when things would pop up and it had a sound too.
Yeah.
Like a pop.
Whoop, or little pop like that.
I love it.
And I think with all that, now, I don't think MTV gets enough, or MTV Asia, the team gets enough recognition. I'm glad you and Yael really bring that up because whoever worked on it now are still in various positions, like in Spotify and
cool.
Amazon, Disney, and that influence and that impact on even camera shooting style, like handheld. Nobody did handheld before that. How we edit, what kind of music, and also really make it really accessible to people, to everyone watching. That music is not just for the people in the industry or people in the know, but as long as you like music and it's all cool, right? And that works. And I think then that leads me very quickly, very easily to making content and making films and making TV series, which are all about musical. Because that's where I am. Either music, food, or music, food, and stories. That's it. Yeah.
Don't forget the wine.
And wine.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
we'll
just
talk about
wanted
that
to
a lot.
quickly say that it was a big dream of mine to get a Moon Man Award because Parokya did have an award
Yes,
in the
Parokya.
office of Tita Bellatan of Universal Records.
Yes.
That was my ultimate dream. I did get an MTV award, like a Best New Artist
Yes,
award.
you did.
You know that?
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
You see, so I knew you
I'm in
before.
your radar.
I knew you before you knew me.
Yeah. You
Sounds
even
like-
know some people that I may have accidentally dated.
Accidentally. How does that work?
I remember the day. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, my husband is here.
Oh, hi, yeah.
Oh, we talked about his crush. Anyway.
That's
so
true. That's fair.
Fair.
That's fair.
Oh yeah, we watched My
My
Case
Case
I'm
Am-
Here. You brought us to MediaCorp.
Yeah.
And we watched one of the comedy programs
Correct.
that you had.
The one that I work with him on. Okay Chop or something like that. Yeah. Okay Chop.
I follow some of the comedians there actually. And yeah, thanks for introducing me to Singaporean comedy.
My pleasure.
So you have the music down. You in MTV, did you have a creative role or was it a corporate role?
Yes, good question. I started off obviously creative. I write, direct, and I produce, and I act. I used to act. When as a kid, yeah. And then I just prefer being in the background. I was in theater. Yeah, a long time ago. I was the chairman of my music and drama society, so I had to do a lot of things. And then I just found out that for me, I like it to be behind the camera. Now, MTV allowed me or gave me the opportunity to be on the other side of the desk. So I was also a creative executive.
I see.
And that allowed me and showed me that you can do both. So I'm comfortable on both sides of the desk, so to speak. So I will direct. At a certain point, I go, oh man, this is really, I burn out. And then I will go into the executive side. So I've gone from MTV then to like run a food channel, like Asian Food Channel, Food Network.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, travel and...
I did meet the Property Brothers, because of you.
Correct. Oh, sorry, Miguel.
It's okay. Yeah, I did meet
Correct.
them because of you, because I had a
Correct.
friend who had
was
such
a big fan. Yeah, I
and
remember.
Eliza did have a crush.
Eliza, you're
Yeah.
right. That's her name.
One of the Schumer sisters. Not kidding. Thanks for understanding. And my aunt, Tita
Yes.
Bong. So yeah, they became my friends, and I actually watched them in Dancing with the Stars in America.
Well done. Yeah, the Property
So
Brothers.
thanks, up here.
So because
Right.
we started off HGTV here and we brought the Property Brothers out. And I remember when I went to Manila, I'm like, Karylle, come here, let's hang out.
I'm so glad, Karen. I went to Glorieta to your fan meet.
Thank you for coming.
I lined up, took
Yeah.
photos with the fans of
With
the
the fans.
Property Brothers.
So that point, I was overall in charge of both programming, marketing, and creative and content, and I was clearly a suit, and that was my journey to become a suit.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I went to MediaCorp. I was the chief content officer.
That's a local station here.
Local station. Yeah, obviously before that whole Food Network was the Kitchen Musical,
Right.
and
Which is with the group entertainment.
which was a group entertainment, my own company with two business partners. So after MTV, that brought me to base out of China, like Beijing, and then Taipei for 1 year, and then I moved to Japan. I was there for like 4 to 5 years.
It's a lot of countries. Wait, do you speak all the languages in all these countries you've mentioned?
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course,
sorry, what a flex. Okay.
just a bit humble brag. No, I really needed to learn Japanese then because I was the first non-Japanese creative director, and I have utmost respect for Japanese creativity, right? And I felt intimidated for a long time, and then I realized that look, I know the MTV brand better than anyone at that point, and we launched.
This is MTV Japan.
MTV Japan.
Okay.
So I launched. We did like 3 huge Video Music Awards Japan. So there are only 3 big VMAs in the world. VMA in New York. And then, of course, they open up others like Movie Award. Europe and then Japan.
Okay.
So we used to get the biggest guests. So after that, I finished that. I think I've done all I needed to do. Moved to become a suit in Star TV in Hong Kong. That's 2010 before I came back. Yeah. And I came back, I thought, okay, now I want to really get my hands on again. And I wrote, directed, produced, co-wrote with Jackie. 13 episodes. I think after that, I was just, thank you, done. And I went back to being a suit, yeah.
Yeah, but Kitchen Musical was so unique because I think before foodie was a word, we were being foodies. We were so into...
I know.
You mentioned all these restaurants that I had to go to one by one.
Yes.
Not knowing that... What was the one with the Daniel Balud burger? DB burger.
DB burger.
So, incidentally, I was in New York for a Filipino festival. It was the Independence Day Festival.
Okay.
And I searched for the DB burger. And lo and behold, they have it at the Marina Bay Sands pala. I had to go but to New York to find it. But you mentioned so many things there that were so specific and I didn't know about them.
Well, that was for your research for your character, right?
Right. And I did start going to all these places. And in Singapore, there's a lot of food. I started with Earl Grey tea.
Oh, great.
At that point, I never thought I would go beyond vanilla, chocolate, mais, or cheese ice cream. We have cheese ice cream back home. Yeah.
Wow.
Dirty ice cream. So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you for introducing me to all this
pleasure.
food. And I felt really cool because it was like ahead of the curve.
And I think sometimes it's good and bad being ahead of the curve. I think with MTV it was really good. People dig it or dug it. Sometimes like the Kitchen Musical, it worked really well in Philippines with in certain parts like Thailand was okay. In the Western audience, like they really saw what we were trying to do and we were nominated for international Emmys, right?
Right. And we went to Monaco.
We went to Monaco,
We met the prince.
We met the prince and we did really well outside of Asia. And I remember and you know what, the international Emmys, we got nominated for Best Drama Series. Nothing against the other category, but Best Drama Series is difficult category to be in. And another Filipino talent was nominated for Best Acting for a male lead, supporting, So it's quite amazing to see how it was appreciated at that level. Another program that I co-produced was a reality show for Muay Thai. It's called the Challenger Muay Thai. Same year, we went the same time. 2 of our programs got nominated for International Emmy. Now, having said that, I think it worked better in certain territories in Asia. It didn't quite pop in Singapore. Now, those in the know will appreciate and still talk about it because the jukebox musical is quite a genre in itself.
Right.
And I think in Singapore especially, if it's not kind of Western musical, people don't really get it. Like Glee is okay, or Mamma Mia is all right.
Glee was out the same time.
Correct. And then they go, oh, this kind of not like Glee, but the Kitchen Musical has many layers, right? It's got food, it's got music, it's got story, it's got wine.
Okay, and we'll go to your Somm life a bit later.
Yeah, so sometimes you can call it being ahead of the curve or being a bit different, or if you want to do exactly the same thing as what works in the region. But we chose to do something that is not just what the normal things are now.
And it was a Pan-Asian musical. So thank you for letting us represent the region.
Correct. So we just got talent from Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia.
And we had a lot of fresh graduates.
We
right?
did. Like
from what school were they?
LaSalle, I think, or Nanyang. I think
here.
Yeah,
in Singapore.
Shuen is definitely LaSalle, I think, and then Nadia, the other Nadia, not Nadia Mohammedin, and then
Carla was also a fresh grad.
Yeah.
Erwin Shah Ismail.
Yes, Erwin Shah Ismail, and then was
Gail. I don't know if she was a fresh
but Gail was
grad.
already performing by then. So we did give a lot of opportunities for young talent and new talent, but we did kind of push the boundaries a lot there, and it worked for some people and it didn't work for some people. But We tried.
We tried, and I became a true blue foodie after that. I have a lot of chef friends, which I'm very proud of.
We ate a lot when we went to Philippines. Yeah, we hung out with your friends.
Yeah, and here in Singapore, all the chefs always feed me or overfeed me. Chef Karylle.
This is in
Chef Karylle Mendoza of
Marina Bay.
Yeah,
right?
Marina Bay
Oh, we
Sands.
used to have a lot of free food there. Thank
free,
you.
yeah, and a lot of wine. They would always give us all this like
Sweet white wine.
yeah, with the asang buwas kind of wine. What was that restaurant? It was Chef.
Hold on, is it a bit hot? Oh, I think with all the lights.
Are you going for the wine?
Yeah, he's looking for the fax machine.
Yeah, we mentioned wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's looking for the fax machine to fax us a request.
Right. So
Is this the coldest? Never mind.
No. We'll try to Tita Stella. We need to adjust the temp. There, keep the freezer on. No, the freezer is the baba.
This is K temperature.
I'm wearing a jacket. What are you talking about? So I did start eating a lot of food thanks to you. I discovered that there's more to life than just rice, but I also really discovered chicken rice.
Oh, chicken rice.
Okay, so thank you, number one, because in your set, everyone ate from the same catering and everyone would sit on the same long table
Correct.
up here. You're the best.
That was the idea, like proper catering.
Thank you for
everyone
that.
sit together, you pick whatever food you want.
I felt like that was the best gift that I could give my plus one, which was Ninang Rose. And,
Nina Rose.
People thought she was actually a celebrity here because
She is.
whenever we would go to makeup in MediaCorp, they would think, makeup, ma'am? No, I'm just here. She's just there. But yeah.
Personal assistant.
But seeing her there, that was like the biggest gift I could give her in my life, for us to be just treated as equals. And I loved it. And it also taught me about treating everybody as an equal because I could see it before my eyes. So yeah, that is a big
Thank you
lesson.
for saying that. Because we tried to change production and way things are done. And it's important that we have catering. People are just not working hard and then having to squat by roadside, eating out of some dodgy lunch boxes and food that is not very good.
Styrofoam.
Yeah.
Do you do tapao here?
Styrofoam. We wanted hot food, it's there. If you're hungry at 3 p.m., it's still there. And then we have,
Right. We had
tea.
like a little table with like anything you needed, like candy in case, bananas in case you were hungry midday.
Because you guys were doing a lot. You were dancing.
Yeah,
you
we
were
would do like
rehearsing.
little dance rehearsals
Correct.
on the side.
And the whole idea is, of course, the catering is for everyone to treat everyone equally. Now, when you're catering, everyone is equal. Somebody's opening wine, and that sounds funny. Is it really tough? You want me to help you with that?
Wait. Let me finish this topic.
Okay.
So, that's the food, and I love the days that we had chicken rice.
Chicken rice. Yeah.
Because then I knew all
We're in
chicken
sync.
rices are kind of equal
Yeah.
for me, especially when you're so hungry and it's there on the paper. It's wrapped in paper, and then when you see everyone just mix the hot sauce and the
Ginger.
toyo,
whatever. Yeah.
like the soy sauce one.
Soy sauce. Yeah.
The way
black
they
one.
do it, it's just perfect, especially when you're super hungry.
Yeah. The deal is I'm quite a bit of an expert on chicken rice.
Oh, that's why they were just not your regular chicken rice.
It's not. It's because
Even if it's tapao, which is
it's tapao.
takeout.
It's because I made a film called Chicken Rice War, and it's based on Romeo and Juliet. And the idea is that, two hawker... in Singapore, we are very organized. You go to a hawker center, you never see one chicken rice stall next to another.
Right.
We're so well organized that
It's
never
also
see.
organized that it's graded, like
It's
ABC.
Yeah, that is in terms of cleanliness, and they've checked that way. So my story actually is based on something I saw in real life, IRL, that somehow at one hawker center, two chicken rice stalls exactly next to each other.
Uh-oh.
And you can see them fighting, right, the grown-ups. And I was thinking, how funny is it if the kids fall in love? Like Romeo and Juliet. So it's Romeo and Juliet in Singapore in hawker center, and the kids are in university doing a kind of a funky new age adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. So it's a Romeo and Juliet within Romeo and Juliet and Romeo and Juliet. So that was, so I found out that from our sponsor, then Buntong Ki, that
I know that they had one in Ballister near my house.
So chicken rice, look, the chicken, you pick the right chicken, you know, the way you steam it, and then you dip it into cold water. Literally, there's no taste in the chicken. The secret to it is actually in the rice and the sauce. So the rice, you cook it fragrantly in like either butter or margarine. You put pandan leaves, you pre-fry it with some onions or garlic, and then you pour the whole rice in there and you cook it. And it comes out, it's the rice that is the secret sauce. The chili sauce, when you add to it, there's something else. The chicken, look, as long as you are buying like all things being equal, like chicken, you get it from the same source, you cook it the same way. Literally, there's no taste in it. The chicken is done so healthy that all the fat has been soaked out.
So it is healthy.
Yeah, but the rice is like soaked in either margarine or butter. The really good rice, butter, pandan leaves with slices of garlic pre-fried before that. And you dump the rice in and you cook it.
Now we need to have some. But, you know, this...
Didn't you have some on this?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
But the dish brought you to different places like Korea for the festival in
Busan. In Busan. Chicken Rice won the best debut feature in Toronto at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, and definitely Busan Festival. I love Busan. They flew me in even when I did my first short film. So I think the Koreans have put in a lot of effort and investment into supporting the arts, specifically in terms of film. And through Busan, especially, a lot of filmmakers I know in Asia feel really indebted to Busan.
Cool. Yeah. That's nice to know. And I guess that's why they're reaping the benefits now.
Correct.
Because they have also been supportive of the local scene.
It is. So besides supporting their own artists, they make sure that they support the region.
Yeah.
And you can see people are very, at least until today, I see a lot of filmmakers, they're all they talk about Busan very fondly. Okay.
So I think with the chicken rice, because that's so connected with Singapore, it's very local. Was hyper-local a word back then when you started working?
No, it was more just going local. It made sense, especially in MTV. At that time, it was quite clear already that you need to go local. And then as I moved to different companies, and my last kind of suit job was with Disney. And I moved to Disney in China first to help them set up the original content.
I see.
Yeah, because...
And then you ended up in Japan?
Yeah, because by that time, Disney knew that they were going to launch off Disney Plus, you know, the streaming service.
We're familiar.
Streaming service, first one in Asia, in Japan first. And because I speak the language, I used to be there for a while, and I used to fly in quite a lot from Shanghai. And at a certain point, I was just more needed in Japan. So imagine I packed up and left in Singapore. I flew in, unpacked, and lived in Shanghai.
Wow.
A year and a half later, I packed up in Shanghai and flew into Tokyo, unpacked, and lived there. And I was in charge of the original content development programming for launching of the Disney Plus service in Japan. So that was quite an eye-opening experience for me. And I was totally a suit then. I was a creative executive, even though my title is creative and content. It's good. You know, I learned how to be comfortable in the boardroom, but then I also can talk to the creators, and a bit of street cred from what I've done previously helped. I pulled in some creators and directors and writers for us to start off the original content. And I think that's the deal, right? 5, 6 years ago, streaming service was cutting edge. Everyone was talking about it.
Yes.
Now it's just kind of like, not so much. And just looking back, I thought, wow, this is what has happened. I've gone from broadcasting to one of the pioneers in Asia for cable, because I was the second employee in Singapore to be hired by MTV. And then I went to streaming. So I went from broadcast to cable to streaming. And now, obviously, I've moved towards virtual production a lot more.
So now you are a consultant for virtual production?
So I consult on the side, but I also work with a company where I'm the chief creative officer, where I am the bridge between the creative and the tech for virtual production projects. Virtual production meaning you shoot a lot of the content within a studio with huge LED walls.
Right.
Yeah, LED screens.
It's not even green screen, right?
No,
it's LED.
Yeah, it's LED, and whatever you see, it's like you don't have to imagine you're in a cave anymore. It's there, and it's got a ceiling too. And if you watch,
so you're not talking to the tennis ball
yeah,
or something.
imagine this is your friend. No, it's right there. But it's not AR. You can't see it in front of you, but behind, right? Literally, if lightning comes out, you can actually see it. So it's actually very cool. Now, if you watch K-drama, a lot of scenes now.
Excuse me, I have pointed out that I have seen it before they revealed it.
Well done. She's very good. Well done. It's
very
good.
good.
Yeah, it's very good because a lot of the driving scenes, in fact, most of them are done in a studio. And it's not green screen. So this color, no problem. Glasses, no problem. Right. Reflection on this, beautiful because it got a ceiling too, like a ceiling LED, right? So now all of a sudden, every driving scene is long. You have exposition of character, of plot, everything starts happening there because you don't need insurance, you don't need a car rig. You just pop people in there and then actors are happy. It's like they walk out, it's air conditioning room, it's beautiful. Now, the creation of the assets that you have for the LED screen, now that is the effort, yeah. But for actors, it's great.
Right.
Yeah, you can see them going, whoa, this is exactly what you mean.
So the people who are working behind the scenes would be engineers?
Quite a lot of engineers, yeah.
Like
because
what's a number for a driving scene, for example?
For a driving scene, a lot of work is done. Now, that's the difference between virtual production projects and traditional, not in a bad way, production. In production, the traditional one, your pre-production is pretty just setting things up. You're talking about stuff, A lot of decisions are made, obviously, before that. But on the set, you have quite a lot of flexibility. You go, I don't feel it. Can we change here and there? In virtual production, because a lot of the assets are created prior to that, the pre-production process is super important. Because after you create it, you can't go on set. You go, I don't like that. Can you change it? Yeah, 2 months. Because that is created. Yeah, that material is created like mostly using Unreal Engine software.
Unreal Engine
UE,
software.
Or you call it UE. So a lot of directors are my friends, I have to get them in and it takes a while to get used to that. So the people behind the scene are a lot of engineers, the LED, the tech director, the lighting director. They're all very different when you light them on an LED screen because that is a light source itself.
Right.
So this kind of light, mainly just that kind of aperture light is okay. Yeah, you don't need like crazy lights, some ceiling lights. And that's where you save some cost. But if you've done a lot of your work in pre-production, on the shoot, you're just enjoying it. All our productions, we end early.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's done, you have done the test, you have done rehearsals, you shoot, done.
So that's the new process.
That's the new process where you put a lot of energy in pre-production. Now, to answer your question, how many in the background? What we call the technical people sitting there, what we call like a panel, it goes from 5 to 20. Yeah. And that's in addition to your camera crew. So
got it. Okay.
The camera crew is still a camera crew, right? The gaffer is still there. The camera people are still there. So it's interesting. I mean, that's where, for me, it goes kind of naturally from streaming to this. And now, obviously, I'm also really keen to see how virtual production can be disrupted by AI, specifically generative
AI. So we go to this topic, which is in debate, like very much in debate right now. And I love that in the beginning of your career, you're also all about making sure that Asia is represented. You try to localize certain things. And as you were shifting from creative to suit, you figure out how to make sure that Asia is seen. So now that the future is here.
The future. So it goes back to your question, right? Was hyper-local
always. a tag that we had.
Yeah, because of MTV, of course it helps to see a company not
Which is
from
American based.
American based to really understand that local sells. And the numbers make sense, right? Especially for bigger markets like Philippines or Indonesia. And then it goes into representation. Now, really credit to MTV then. You're talking about 30 years ago. Very clear.
Wow.
We're all about representation, right? Now people talk about DEI, and I go, no, we were doing that 30 years ago. You watch MTV, and that's why it worked. You have Filipinos, Indonesian, Malaysian, Singapore. It's all repetized. Yeah, so I think that started me onto this like whole idea that
it's like a path, that has led you to this moment where you are now thinking about representation in AI.
Yeah, sorry, your question.
No, I mean,
did we lose everybody? Everyone just fell asleep. Nobody cared about our conversation.
No, they're just
open your wine. You just open your wine.
No, so representation in AI. So I went to a whole conference, in London about EdTech. So I do hear about the pros and cons, the fears about AI, and why, though the technology is available, people are not making full use of it when it could help, for example, developing countries like the Philippines advance and, get a head start from, falling behind for years. We can finally move forward and catch up with the rest of the world because of AI. So a possible problem that you're seeing is that, for example, Singapore is not represented in the sense that you can't even search for Orchard Road.
Well, so good
or
points.
make a what do you call it?
Yeah,
a prompt.
Specifically text to image generator, because your point is very important, right? That the saying goes. So, for example, I was talking to someone once, and I said, "Hey, did you see that event?" And this person said, "Oh, I didn't see it on IG, or I didn't see it on TikTok. Therefore, it didn't exist." In this digital age, if you're not online, you don't exist.
Right.
It is at that level that...
The footprint, right?
It's almost like our history, our stories, our cultures may not exist because we are not represented online. Now, specifically in terms of generative AI. So there are a few aspects of AI. So when you talk about AI in education, you got a lot of AI tools. What I'm seeing in my experience as the virtual production person and looking at all these assets, we'll talk about a lot of these assets being done, and it's not easy in Unreal Engine. So I was really toying with the idea of how do you use text-to-image generator. Now, we hold on to that thought for a second. What we are using now is a lot called large language models, like ChatGPT.
Large
language model.
Language model.
Yeah, so they've trained ChatGPT to a point where it's now what you call natural language. It's like chatting. You can just chat to ChatGPT, and rightly so. People should be using that for a lot of the... It really helps me to put some of my proposals together, but you have to feed it properly. You have to prompt it nice. You can't just say, write me an essay. It doesn't work. You have to be very clear. You have to give the background, the objective, and the clearer you prompt it, the more accurate it is. Now, what is adjacent to what I'm doing now is that I've seen a lot of content makers coming up with storyboards or stories using images generated by what you call text-to-image generators.
And what are these apps that do this?
So there are a few key ones like Midjourney's Discord, there's Stable Diffusion, there's DALL-E. What these do is that instead of just words, they can translate your word into images. So if I prompt something to say Godzilla chewing on Tank's Tower in Orchard Road.
Tank's Tower is a mall?
It's that Marriott Hotel right now in the middle of Orchard Road.
Near Lucky Plaza.
Near Lucky Plaza.
Right,
near Lucky Plaza.
If you've been there, comment down below.
Now, this is what it is. I think for a lot of people in Southeast Asia, Orchard Road, Tanks is quite iconic.
Right.
You put it into text and image to image generator, doesn't exist.
Okay.
Godzilla is there. Godzilla is always right. It's no problem. You can get Godzilla in every decade. But Tanks and Orchard Road, it starts to get confused. Now,
So we're just even talking about places.
places, now even places. So even places in Singapore, because we're a small nation, and in the 80s and 90s, obviously not that digitized yet, we're not in that space. And therefore, a lot of these AI models are not trained. They don't see it. So they come up with the amalgamation of scenes that look like stuff from Hong Kong. Because Hong Kong at that time were, is more well represented in films and posters and everything else. So now it gets trickier when some of the content makers come and give me storyboards when they say, this is what Singaporeans look like, or this is what Filipino look like.
Oh, like we're talking about actual faces
Actual
now.
faces now, right? So in terms of places and infrastructure, already it's getting weird because this director came to me with a storyboard that has got a feel, rolling fields that look like something out of...
In Singapore.
In Singapore. That's got daffodils and lavender and picket fences.
You call this boonies, but there are no boonies that look like that.
So none. So when I asked the director, I said, hey, where's that picket fence in this scene? And he said, CheeK, it's just for reference. I said, I get it. Now, 2 weeks later, when we're in the set, lo and behold, the production designer came up with a picket fence right there.
Because it was in the
It was
storyboard.
in the storyboard, right? And I go, where in Singapore or in Asia do you get picket fence? Unless...
Oh, we have some in some villages.
or unless it is like in a...
like an American house.
Yeah, in a children's playground, right? So I feel that it's this insidious creep, right? That very slowly, what we don't see is that our stories, our heritage is slowly being cut out.
Okay. And this is, I guess, controlling the narrative.
Well, the challenge is that when we say, now it gets more creepy when you put faces.
Okay, yeah.
They will never get the intricacies of a multicultural society like Singapore.
Like Singapore, yeah, because you have how many?
We have like 4 main kind of ethnic groups. And then, of course, now a lot of cross intermarriages. So you get a very distinct Singapore look very quickly, right? The challenge is that besides not having those spaces in, if you prompt something like an attractive Singapore woman in Orchard Road, what you get is a very hyper-sexualized kind of Western image of what an Asian woman should look like. And it's insulting to me. For me, it's insensitive. There is always kind of red lanterns or fairy lights in the background. There's Orientalism. I'm like...
Orientalism. Orientalism. Didn't even know
I'm like, let's cue in some sitar music or pipa, like, look, that's what I feel like.
Okay.
And you know what is crazy? Some of the content makers I point out, they don't see it. They go, what do you mean? I said, look, where in Singapore do you see red lanterns? Here in Orchard Road.
Oh, I'm sorry. But
except Chinatown, right?
You're talking to the wrong person. I have a mooncake in my bag.
Mooncake is okay.
I have to put it in the
mooncake
fridge.
Is okay.
Mooncake Festival. Oh, it's...
Correct.
No red lanterns though,
but watch any of this like Western created films or series, right? When you talk about Singapore, it's always like some dodgy pie, there's always neon lights in the background, some Asian tattooed people walking around. That's the kind of stuff that you get when you use this kind of sometimes text-to-image generators. Okay. Now, don't talk about...
I kind of feel weird because I did a show where I did work in Orchard Tower.
That's okay.
More popularly known as OT.
Orchard Towers.
As a dancer.
Orchard Towers, that's based on is reality, right? I mean, you do have that place and you do have that kind of establishments. Now, the challenge is that, number one, there's no lanterns there anyway.
I never thought of that. Okay.
And I had this prompt for the same like Asian young woman and in Orchard Road, attractive young woman. They look like some young women in kind of skimpy clothing in the beach in some beach club
I think it's because it's
Southeast Asia.
There are beaches, but
near
what is that place where we went to? Where the Universal Sentosa Beach,
Yeah, very different. It didn't look like Sentosa Beach at all.
Correct.
It looks like some exotic, generic exotic Southeast Asian beach bar.
Oh, you can't say exotic.
Correct. in that space, it is a right term, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the challenge for me is that you increasingly will not see our real stories being being talked about. Increasingly, we are not represented in terms of the look and feel. Now, when I talk to people in the industry, everyone's going, yeah, it's kind of hard. What can you do?
But yeah, you're telling me of the dangers. So what are the dangers of this kind of misrepresentation?
Yeah, great question. Because now, to take a step back, the narrative now is that there's nothing we can do because it needs a lot of resources. It needs a lot of time.
Which is also a debate because not everyone wants to use their data or their faces to feed the AI so that we are represented.
Correct.
So we're kind of...
So that is a valid concern. And I think it will be addressed. Now, the challenge now is that then it feels that we're leaving a lot of this up to the benevolence of big companies and rich nations. And I suspect it's a narrative that there is no incentive for them to change. That you smaller countries like Singapore or, less resources country in Southeast Asia, just leave it to us. We'll put in Shutterstock and get these images, and then that's represented as Asian. Now, to your question then, so that solves the privacy aspect, right?
Okay.
Because Shutterstock and get his image, and that is all licensed. Now, to hold on to that thought for a second, now, how does that then dangerous for us as a people, as our history and our story? Very quickly, our stories, in terms of the real one, the hyper-local stories, are not going to be represented because the references in the first place are just not right.
Okay.
Yeah, so... And we are doing a lot more stuff that feels that it should work for the Western audience. That makes sense, right?
So our pitches for stories, the actors who could be playing us.
Yes.
We're losing jobs.
Yeah, in the sense that they are not calling for this kind of look. Because the money where the content, the biggest ones that are made are mainly Western.
Yes.
And if your content also work with the Western audience, that's great. If it doesn't, then really, that talent may not be that high on the list. So what I'm worried about too is that more than anything is that our local storytellers are unconsciously also being influenced by these.
So you're adjusting so that your stories that you pitch fit and get out there.
Exactly.
Because all you want to do is have a job.
Exactly. So this true story. I was developing a musical about a very talented Singapore young person wanting to do fashion and she went through a whole journey. And as we were pitching it, someone said, hey, why don't you base this in Korea instead?
Okay.
Yeah, because, hey,
it's the rave
it's
right
the
now,
rave.
yeah.
You can use K-pop and you know what we did? Yeah, sure. Yeah, Korea, no problem. We can change it.
So you're adjusting.
We quickly adjusted. Now, as we were doing that, in the writer's room, we go, do you realize that we just completely canceled the Singapore aspect of this? The Singapore part of the story has become 5%. Everything is, it's a Singapore woman going into Korea, but the story is Korea and K-pop.
Right.
And they will finance that.
To fit the trend.
To fit the trend. Now, it makes sense. I get it. Having sat on the other side of the desk, I get it. Now, the longer term impact for people, for less well-resourced or smaller markets like Singapore, for example, or other Southeast Asian countries, that where's the story, right? So that leads to your point about jobs. Now,
because that's the only way we can get them concerned, is that you're losing jobs.
Yeah, the jobs part, you can see that's the problem. It's not direct, right? You don't see
it's like
that.
a long...
Correct, but there's a knock-on effect that if you don't sort it out upstream, you're going to get hit downstream and you go, oh, let's sort some downstream. No, hold on a sec. Un momento
is... Oh, okay. Un
momento, por favor. Chakaman. Go back, sort that out in the beginning. Yeah, it's the source of your story, right? Where did that come from? If the source of the story is not encouraged to do that, then you're not going to get the story. Now, small steps. Before you know it, the adoption of this AI tools and where the money is coming from, in 5 years' time, even less than that, 3 years' time, you're going to get really how many of our stories in terms of that level. The hyper-local services were still going to be there. Some of those, like what our friend is doing, the movie in Viva and
in Manila.
In Manila.
Quark, yeah.
Yeah.
Quark
That is good. That one is
yeah.
still there. The challenge for me is that how do you then encourage a ground up initiative to realize this and then want to allow their content or their media or their pictures, both in terms of their homes and maybe family portraits to do this. Now that's the process, and that's what besides what I'm doing now in terms of creating content and putting things together is passionate about I want to advocate for that because, like you said, ultimately, because it's going to hit all of us. I mean, we ended up pitching it about story in Korea, and we ended up losing because the Korean content is so good, right? They're like, yeah, if you wanted Korea, we just do it in Korea. Why do we want the Singapore roundabout way to go there? So we didn't win at all. So we lost out the Singapore story. We went about this on Korea, and they're like, oh, the Koreans can do this better. Of course. There we go. So that project didn't go anywhere.
Got it. So I guess it's good to just make people aware of the possible scenarios that will come of all this new movement and all the new technology that we have to deal with, because I guess it's a space that we don't really know, and good that you're already seeing certain pitfalls if we continue on this path. But another thing I wanted to talk to you about was your wine and AI pairing. So,
that's AI is very heavy there.
So you love wine. You're a som.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. In the Philippines, you would have just been a manginginom, but
ooh, what is that?
A drinker.
I am a drinker.
But for some reason, soms like to spit out the wine. Why?
Okay. That's a very, very valid reason, because when you're in that business...
But it's so expensive.
It is. But when you're in the business, when you're tasting a lot of wine, at a certain point, you cannot swallow everything.
Because you're not a manginginom.
Well, in Japan, the what we call the Oji-san joke is that you're not a sommelier, you're a nommelier, because nomi or nomu is drink.
Okay.
So it's a nommelier. So I'm not so much a nommelier. I drink, but I'm also trained as a sommelier. I also trained with my diploma in wine.
This is after Kitchen Musical.
Even during Kitchen Musical,
okay, that's why we had such a great wine selection.
Correct. And then I finally passed everything in 2015. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to enjoy. But they do spit because it's almost like when you see the coffee people in their cupping, they spit too, because otherwise you just cannot consume that much. So they need to spit. I spit. I have my own spit. And then not now, but yeah, I did do a collaboration with a bar.
AI and wine. So you don't just pair wines with food, but you pair it with movies.
Movies, yeah.
And AI helped you with this project, and you were able to pitch it to a restaurant, and they did an event.
Yeah, we did an event. It's I did it with No Sleep Club. It's like a cocktail bar with food, and I worked with the founder, the mixologist, and also the chef. The idea is that using AI, text-to-image generators, and I'm going to feed prompts into it for a few films, like In the Mood for Love, Como Agua para Chocolate, like Water for Chocolate, and Train to Busan, right? Because I'm very representative. And what kind of images that come out from there? I said, look, combine In the Mood for Love into like few colors or for food or something. It comes out like really trippy images. It is amazing. It's beautiful. Or do this in the form like a Chinese color painting, a watercolor painting. It comes out. And then I mix music to it, like the theme song from In the Mood for Love, like Yumeji's theme, and then Train to Busan. And I show it to the mixologist and the chef, and the chef got it immediately. She's like, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. The mixologist was kind of like, oh, okay. I said, because that AI too, I fed it like wine too, like Como Agua para Chocolate, because it's I think it's a Mexican film, Spanish language, a Mexican film. I said, what kind of wine goes with this? Like a big bold kind of like Spanish wine, for example. So the mixologist then have to pair it every course with a cocktail of that ilk.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
well,
it was fun.
You have these lighter projects for the combinations that of things you love.
Kind of light.
Wine, food, and
music. And just put them all together. I think we can mix it.
film.
Yeah, we just cross boundaries. Because very much like the kitchen musical, like who combine food and music and dancing. And it's only by pure innocence that I didn't know how difficult it was to make
Music rights alone, CheeK. I
know that I went, oh my God, this great idea. How come nobody thought about it? And then I did 13 episodes of that and I go, oh man, this is crazy. You remember we had 2 separate units. One just focused on shooting the food. And then we have another like shooting you guys dancing. We have 2 cameras on set already, two crews. We actually have 3. It was crazy.
You can check out YouTube for the kitchen musical music videos. It's there.
Yeah, the music videos are all there.
Yeah, so there's lots to talk about and not enough time. We have run out of time.
We have. Oh my goodness.
Because it's
I'll come back.
It's bedtime. Yeah, you can come back. I think,
you guys come back?
I think, we tried to do a podcast during the pandemic. We did a demo.
We did.
Where is it?
It's somewhere. I think
somewhere, but at least it happened today.
Yes. We talk about this for a long time, right?
Right, yeah, because you just have to do. Can't just keep planning.
Yeah, there's no try, only do. Yeah, sorry, I just did Yoda there. You will know, Karylle.
Yeah, so any more phone-in questions?
Yeah, Miguel is like, nah, we're going to sleep.
No. Of course, we end Case Drama with a one-liner. We're trying to pass on life lessons from my friends because you guys are the best.
Thank you.
And I'm grateful for the friendship through the years. It's more than 10 years.
It has, right?
Yeah, and thank you for my savings here in Singapore. I'm so grateful that I have actual savings here. Yeah.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
As an almost OFW, you taught me to also feel how a lot of Filipinos feel like, because I live the OFW life somehow in some shape or form here. And I basically opened my eyes to the world because being here just exposed me to a whole group of different people. And I learned so much. And I still learn a lot because I'm in touch with most everybody. Like Janice is still giving me food recos for my trip.
Wow.
Yeah, she was our assistant director.
She's the best.
Yeah.
Love her.
Listen,
he's still trying to find
so
wine glass.
So,
no, I think he's trying to find a wine glass. It's like probably the top.
It's no.
Try that. Or is that
No.
there? Oh yeah, there.
Left.
To the left. Everything you own in the box to the left.
There you go.
Well done,
Okay.
Sorry.
So we talked about wine too much. He needed his wine.
I know.
So are you ready for your one-liner that you want to impart with our audience?
Not at all.
Do you want to talk about using your left and right brain? Do you want to talk about...
Yeah, because you know why? It's I feel that this year I'm thankful, first of all, really thank you for finally for making this happen.
Yeah, because we've
been talking about
this
since COVID, right?
Yeah.
And I know how busy you are. I know.
You know who made it happen? Miguel.
Jimenez.
Who actually asked you about camera angles and Tita Stella.
And I just went, whatever you have is good. Perfect. He has done a great job.
I even gave you an allergy attack just now.
Oh, thank you. Because my throat now is open up. Yeah. Earlier it was just like, dude, it was like crazy. It just seized up like so quickly. And of course now I sound deeper and better.
Yeah.
I think. I hope your mic is catching all this. But this year has been very interesting. I know you've been super busy. I know things in life happen, and I really truly appreciate you making this happen and us having the opportunity to sit down and talk. And I hope we can do this more often, whether it's online or if I drop into Manila or you come here again. Yeah. The challenge with me now is that for this year, I feel that all of a sudden I'm back to a work in progress. Because at a certain point in life, I feel, I kind of get it sorted. Not really, right? Still work in progress, flawed character. If I write myself in anything, it's flawed. But as we talked about earlier, makes you more interesting, right?
We're not for the boring.
Yeah, we're not for boring. Now, while it makes for really good kind of life stories, sometimes it makes for really tough living. Not sure whether that makes sense. Yeah, the ups and downs, right? So life lessons and affirmation, yeah, in one sentence would be tough.
It doesn't have to be one sentence. Sometimes it's like
Can I submit an essay
meandering.
later?
Sometimes it's a meandering thought.
Like a stream of consciousness thing. I think in what we do, especially not you're way more talented in performing and singing, and I love looking. No,
I just found out today, an artist yourself.
As a tiny tot.
Performance artist.
Tiny tot. I think in terms of the creative journey that we all have, not that other people don't have it, if they're another kind of work. For me, the creative journey for me also start with curiosity, and it's that hunger for new learnings. I'm glad you went to the AI seminar, because for what I've done so far, and you listed it very nicely, it's like, look, I've been on both sides of the desk, I've done this and that, and also I'm a sommelier and I do other stuff too. It all stems from curiosity. And this desire to know what is there, like, and I will sit down with you and really ask questions, because, what is that? And I'm totally like thick-skinned. I will ask in the middle of boardroom, like, what is that? And I will ask.
Okay, so no shame in...
No shame. No shame. Like, rather than going through life pretending to know and living in and wallowing in my own crap of ignorance, no, I will ask. Right. And I go, got it, thank you. Then I learn, right? And as I learn, I get hungrier and hungrier. Oh. And some will say, oh, gee, you're like jack of all trades. I'm like, yeah, look, I'm hungry. At this point in life, I'm still super hungry. And I want to see where it takes me. And I think in the creative process, personally, the curiosity really is the driver. If at a certain point the curiosity stops or dries up, then I feel that my drive too for that is also different. Then that contributes to the curiosity to life, to people. Today I actually talk a lot. Normally I just sit here and listen. I guess it's a podcast, right? I can't just sit and listen. Yeah, but for me, creativity, curiosity, and then this constant evolution, and I think it's a work in progress until the day we pass on. And always feel that for me, I always want to latch on to a passion. And my passion is always going to be in the creative, in stories, in people. And even when I move to AI and Gen AI, it's adjacent to whatever I'm doing. It's still stories, it's how it affects people, our history, our culture. So is that in a sentence? Hardly.
I think your sentence is something like, your curiosity is just like your hunger for food, for good food, because you're very particular about your food and very snooty. And
no, I just don't eat meat.
Your hunger for wine.
Wine.
Same.
Knowledge. Yeah, knowledge.
Knowledge is kind of like that, yeah. Yael has the saying about how you do anything is how you do everything. And I think your search for good wine, for good food, the best things in life, I think that's connected to how curious you are. And that's your driver. And that's great that it never runs out, because...
Yeah, I hope it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, please kick me next. If you ever see me one day, I go, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, you would think that, somebody like you wouldn't even learn to say, "Hey."
Hey.
Hey. So next time you see a Filipino on the street, yeah, CheeK will say, "Hey."
You're like, what's wrong with this guy?
No, because you do understand that things shift and things happen fast.
Right.
And you are up to date with the trends. We were talking about that earlier over dinner.
Was Sabrina Carpenter? Sorry.
Please.
Please. The deal is this, right? 5 years ago, streaming was the thing, right? Now it's just really yeah, it's just one of those things. Even the technology itself is not going to change our lives. It's not life changing. It's just an entertainment outlet, right? It's a platform. AI then is what we're talking about next. Now, how does that work? So yeah, there you go.
It's a
Curious.
dot, because it's going to be a lot of things that we are learning as we're feeding it and teaching it. We are figuring it out and hoping that we use it well.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking how Miguel is going to edit this because oh man,
it's just a lot of thoughts. There's a lot to think about.
Yes, a
and
lot. Part one and
a lot
part two.
to process.
Two parts.
Yeah, you know something about Singapore? Dreams, you said, are clearer here.
Thank you for reminding me that. Yes,
That's like
clearer,
if you ever dream in Singapore.
It's clearer.
It's clearer. The reception here is good.
The reception is good. It's almost like coming to Singapore and everything is kind of like in 4K. The leaves are greener.
That's why we have too many thoughts in Singapore.
I know. So my hypothesis, I told Karylle this, is that I was living in Japan. My dreams are kind of like there, but not vivid, right?
Okay.
I come back to the tropics. I somehow think it's because we are so close to the equator, and every time there's a moon phase or whatever, we're just there closer.
Okay,
the dreams are vivid, multicolored.
Now you deleted everything that you built up. So
yeah, I know.
With the moon,
he's a quack.
we say thank you, and gosh, that's a lot of insight shared.
Thank you.
No,
thank you.
CheeK. And that's it for today's episode of Case Drama. CheeK, everybody. Apir.
Thank you.